Hey, good morning, YouTube. It's Friday. I guess we can be happy about that. How's everybody doing out there? I cannot find my notes. Struggle to get my coffee. Um, this is about all you see everywhere you go. It's either this or videos, stories, articles from the different talking heads, politics for control of your property and right to defend yourself. Seems like. Hey, Barry Wood, good morning. How you doing, sir? So let's start over in the weather. Something that affects everybody. If you have weather, seems like we haven't had hardly any weather this spring, summer. I don't think we can call this winter. Get that to hush. Mr. M. Long, good morning. It's all right. We accept absences around here. You don't need an excuse from your doctor or nothing like that. More snow and stuff for the northeast this weekend, and rain for the south. So don't plan your outdoor activities. You're getting snowberry? Awesome. We're not getting nothing. We said they might something roll in here Sunday afternoon, I guess. It's supposed to get a deep cold for us, Barry. If you've seen that, we're supposed to get some pretty good cold this week, next week. It looks like it's coming right down from Alaska, like dropping straight down the Pacific coast. So it'll feel like winter. It'll just be dry. This looks like Saturday night. So M. Long, yeah, you got that to look forward to. More rain and junk, whatever else comes your way. It's not a lot of snow, though. It's only 5 inches, maybe 8 if you live out there in Connecticut, or that's Rhode Island. Foot of snow, Blanket, Rhode Island. Does anybody notice? Nothing about the rain, how much rain they're getting in the south, but it'll be a significant amount, I would imagine. Getting rain like that. Good morning, Walter Davis. How are you doing, sir? We ready to survive this week? Get into the weekend? But the barrage the last 36 hours has just been almost overwhelming with all the gun control talk and everything. I know you all have noticed it. Everybody's been on the socials commenting on the various articles and videos and posts on the issue, it seems like. It's hard to see if there's anything else actually going on. The stock market and stuff seems to be managing itself well. The flu season seems to still be trying to get in center stage when it should be going down this time of year. And rain and snow Sunday, maybe, they're saying. So we'll start it off with our hopes and dreams for everybody that California will just leave us and leave us alone. Please. Please, California. Go over there in your corner. It would be nice. So they've filed a new initiative, apparently. with deciding in 2021 whether or not to secede. Their state legislature, that works too. Their legislature is the one that signed on to the Constitution. The voters don't have to vote on it. May 4th, 2021. Mark your calendars. Yeah, staying off TV is a good technique, M. Long. It's a good idea to most issues. Most you stay away from depression. Only thing I've been watching on the TV is the Olympics. A little bit of basketball. Now, M. Long being in Kentucky, I mean, you have to watch Kentucky thing. It's like almost a requirement. But if not, that's okay too. So they have the backers of this measure to secede for California. Differences, boy, you can. I'll tell you what, you can't say that any better. I filed them with the. Well, somebody did some research on this, it looks like, on this article. It says since 1859, 200 different groups have tried to either force secession or partition the state in the different smaller states. And there's that old ugly rearing its head of, to begin with the Russian interference in current American politics, it's concerns that outsiders might try to influence the debate, which they already are. You know that. I mean, a lot of California secession has to do with Mexican reunification, Azatlan. What else do they call that? The whole reunification, La Raza agenda, stuff like that. A lot of it's based on, it is foreignly influenced because there's a bunch of foreigners living in California primarily. They don't want to. They're not Americans. They don't want to be Americans. They don't claim to be Americans. It's pretty much probably a lot of it. I wonder if anybody asked the state of Jefferson how they feel about this. Yeah, that'd be interesting when California goes to secede and half of them make their own state and stay in the Union. That won't cause no problems, I'm sure. Everybody be looking around like, what is going on? Walter, if California splits, they still have to get approval from Congress because Congress has to accept the new, because one side would still have to form a new state and have a state constitution by the Constitution, and they would have to have that Constitution accepted by Congress. So there's still a congressional input even if California is split, because the current state would still be recognized and the other state would have to get recognized. Or accepted into the Union. Maybe that's the better way to say it. Not recognized, but accepted into the Union. Or just let them secede, go their own way, and nobody cares. They're not worth fighting over. So that's interesting. But in the same tone as that, California to deal with any problems. What are they going to do if they secede and they don't have any water? This is in Tustin, which is down south of LA, north of Camp Pendleton, Orange County. I think it's in Orange County. Southern California water use. So what they haven't stole from Vegas, they stole from Northern California. What they couldn't get there, they get from Eastern California. They still don't have enough water because nobody's willing to tell people no, or just willing to say, hey, you got to pay more for it. This is where the real sticking point is: water. Water use is up 3% in December alone. Wow. That's when compared to the same month in 2013, before mandatory conservation. Malibu, average residential users uses 255 gallons a day, 3 times the U.S. average of 83 gallons per person per day. That's two different stats. Don't confuse stats, people. It makes my job harder. I can't figure out what you're really talking about. Wish we'd get some Californians in here to comment. They probably don't wake up this early, huh? They having their soy lattes. The average, I guess they're saying the average Malibu person per person is 255 gallons a day. I can't imagine one person using 255 gallons a day, especially in a suburb, like not even water and crops and land and trees and stuff. 3 times the U.S. average of 83 gallons per person per day. Also up 7% from the same month in 2013. I thought you said same month up there. North of Pasadena, they're doing 270 gallons per person. These people are so screwed if things go really south. They can't even know how to get by on conserving water. They probably, I mean, being on a well, they probably use more water than I do with 5 people and animals. And these people have nothing. What do they do? Just leave it on all day? I don't get it. Mr. Walter Davis out there, I believe California wants to split in. Oh, okay. We already commented on that. The requirements to become a separate state. M. Long, Kentucky almost became a, if they didn't let us become a state. I do not remember that, but I'm sure Kentucky history documents that somewhere. Well, that's going back a few years, huh? So that would have been 1805 or something like that. Yeah, the Colorado River is pretty much dry by the time it gets to the, what is that, the Sea of off Baja? Is that Sea of Baja down there where Colorado runs out? Well, Walter, I think this is Walter says this. The number is probably off because of undocumented people using water and not being counted. Well, the thing is, the water's documented easier than the people, I guess, because water's, if it runs through the municipal system, is pretty well documented on a meter of some sort where it comes through the system, and they can meter your use from the street usually, which is probably automated at this point. I mean, the days of water readers are gone, as well as the smart meters for electricity, I'm pretty sure. But they can account for the water, but counting for people's hard. And I'm sure there's lots of undocumented people using water, but they're either having to pay for it or they're getting it for free, but they're still counting the number of gallons. That's just outrageous. I can't imagine that's 200,000 gallons of water. And this is in December. This isn't even in the summertime yet. People are losing their minds. Wait, let's do my math here again. 2,000 in 10 days. So 8,000, almost 10,000 in a month in December per person, apparently. That baffles me. How people could use that much water. I don't know. Maybe I have to check my water usage. Check my old bills when we used to live in a when we used to be on municipal water and see what we were using. I remember thousands of gallons, but tens of thousands in December of all things. That's why California can't be its own nation. Well, they think they can because they think they're going to take Jefferson with them, but Jefferson's going to say otherwise. That's things are going to get interesting. Yeah, yeah. It's surprising they don't have smart meters on water, but they do on electricity, isn't it right, Walter Davis? It's like, you know, interesting how that development came about. The smart meters are definitely not are definitely causing problems as well. California has 700 miles of canals and pipelines that support dams and reservoirs to pump water from the north to south. And it could all go away, or they could pay a pretty penny, one or the other. Probably their choice. Walter, you say you got smart meters for water? Just saying it's easily centrally computerly documented. Where is that? Where are you? Are you? I can't remember if you're in Michigan, Pennsylvania. I don't remember where you're at, but I figure it's got to be because you don't see water meter readers running around. So yeah, it's got to be some sort of monitoring. Just we don't hear about it near as much as we do the electricity smart meters. So over on the economic side, don't let all the red fool you. I'm pretty sure the markets are up. The bond market touched 2.9 this week. The stock market kind of looked at it and kind of went sideways. Looks like they're scheduled for a light opening here. But I wouldn't expect anything too drastically to the upside as long as bonds and those yields stay trending up. There was a story on here about house building starts rebounding because everybody has a place to live, but how much of it is investors and then they turn around and rent them out? I know up here where we're at, okay, you are in Pennsylvania, Walter. I wasn't sure. I always have a hard time keeping track of everybody. So houses are going up. We're having an issue out here, I know, with that. Having enough housing, even rental market is blowing up. We're not quite back to 2007 craziness, but we just have a shortage of housing because of all the workers coming in for the industrial park and Tesla and stuff. There's some pretty outrageous prices going for open lots and rundown houses on open lots. That's like, you want me to pay what for that? Basically, dump in the middle of nowhere in the desert. I'm pretty sure they got lots that are closer to the industrial park that are less land than I have and like no house or like an old rundown modular home or mobile home, whatever you want to call it. And they're asking the same price that I paid for my house. It's like, you people have lost your mind. But people are still getting it, I guess. Oh, Yingling, you're the home of Yingling, huh, Walter? I guess that's a good claim to fame. For the longest time, I always thought that was. So what else is going out there in the chat room? Got about 10 minutes remaining. Remember to hit the card. Actually, there are no cards today. I had to restart the chat. Make sure you're browsing YouTube, checking out all those channels out there that you might enjoy that you never thought about. There's a lot of good ones out there. Oh, that's the only way people know where Pottsville is? Oh, is that not a very big town? It's kind of like Chico, California in Sierra Nevada. Chico's not a very big town either. So nobody's got anything out there in the side chat? Man, it made me stumble around in here, stumble through the internet for a little while. Zero Hedge had a couple articles on the economy. Again, they talk about the housing starts and permits. So investors are definitely getting in looking for a rental market. With the bonds going up and the 10-year yield, that affects 30-year housing mortgage rates. So those are going up. There was it's a financial show on the radio here, local, talking about how they're going to be getting close to 30-year mortgages or 5% 30-year mortgages, which sounds really high compared to what people have been dealing with. But a lot of you old timers know the days when, I mean, a mortgage of 8% was great. And they used to be as high as 15%, I guess, back in the Carter years. We have been misled down this fake interest rate system we're in now that 2 and 3% is normal. That is going to conflict with something coming up in the future at some point. Chinese try to take over the Chicago Stock Exchange. Well, that would be fun, right? Cryptocurrencies are trying to rebound. They were down like 6,000 last week, back up to 10. Russia is taking over Syria's oil and gas. Now, many would speculate that that is why they're there in the first place, right? But they have signed an agreement to be the exclusive caretaker of Syria's oil and gas, which will probably, I would imagine, the Russians are probably a little bit better at it than the agreement goes significantly beyond that, stipulating that the modalities of rehabilitation of damaged rigs and infrastructure, energy advisory support, and training a new generation of Syrian oilmen. Key piece is the final and unconditional consolidation of Russian interest in the Middle East. Before the Civil War, before all the foreign influence, Syrian oil produced around 380,000 barrels a day. It's declined since, and the all-time peak production rate was of 677,000 barrels a day in 2002. To bump that number up, that's going to compete with the American oil we're sending over there. Oh, no wonder we got room and space. The Syrians are producing half the rate they were before, and Iraq's been in the same problem. Now, what do we got room for American oil? Current output stands at 14 to 15,000 barrels a day. That's like nothing. I think Utah puts out that much. Some stats on liquefied gas. Or is that? So Syria economically is probably not doing so well off with its oil industry so impacted. And the Russians going to come in and see if they can help them out, I guess. So the EU currently has a embargo still on Syria in effect until June of this year. Everybody's expecting those sanctions to be extended, along with U.S. sanctions, due to al-Assad still being in power. Most Syrian oil was destined for Europe. The EU ban has prevented that, and now the new owner of any Syrian oil markets will have to either find countries like Turkey or Lebanon or find buyers in Asia, which Russia can help facilitate. Probably finding buyers in the old Soviet bloc countries, the Lithuanias, the Kyrgyzstans, and such like that. I would imagine. That's an interesting article. That does not, people aren't going to like that because we've increased our oil output. And when Syria is putting out 14 to 15,000 barrels a day only, when they could be doing 600,000, that's going to directly compete with the market that America is now getting into over there. So that will be a interesting conflict economically, as if the current trying to conduct a regime change agenda to probably get at that oil from the EU American side is any. You thought we were heavily involved now. That's probably not going to make it any better. This should be a good article. We'll end with this. Our time is running out. Nobody out there in the side chat's got anything. Bunch of slackers today. Just say it's raining and snowing. Is the world embracing debt at exactly the wrong time? Well, the central banks are pushing debt at exactly the time they have to survive, I would guess. So it just starts off 2018 is apparently the year in which the world enters the final stage of its addiction to debt. So this is on Zero Hedge. Probably click over. I'm not going to go through this whole thing because I would definitely be over time then, but definitely something to look into. It's got a couple of articles here about debt quoted from Reuters, CNBC, and the Chicago Tribune that we're just going to jump the shark on debt this year. Leverage. Debt is all about leverage. It's not just like a static thing. It's used to get leverage economically. So it's a good statement here. Leverage is soaring as governments, corporations, and individuals just give up and embrace the idea that borrowing is no longer a necessary evil, but simply necessary. That is the truth. Americans have long, the American banks at least, not Americans individually necessarily, but the American banks, the central bank has just, they don't even tout it's a necessary evil. It's just necessary now to increase debt at a cyclic rate, and they get Congress to buy into it. Irish USMC vet joined us. Rah! Oh, you got rain though. Rain. And Barry's going out to shovel. All right, get suited up and get her done. Got to do what you got to do. But China's got new loans, 2.9 trillion. That's new debt. That's not even like the old stuff. Total U.S. household debt. So it's debt on the individual. Our debts are going up. The president just asked for $1 trillion in debt, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely something to look into if you don't understand how bad debt is, or the bigger picture of how it's all intertwined. And affects inflation at some point. Zero Hedge article still on the front page, but it might drop to the second later in the day as they put more articles up. M. Long says, Martin Armstrong writes, we are entering a monetary crisis going into 2020. I don't know. It's like it's all about the how US dollars compared to often, and they seem to always find a way to manipulate it so that it's better than the dollar's the worst, the best of the worst. Is that a good way to put it? The dollar is able to just hold enough leverage over the other currencies, in particular with the oil connection with the dollar petrodollar issue, to maintain its some sort of strength, you know. And Irish USMC vets are trying to keep me in here a little bit longer. Remington is filing bankruptcy. Yes, that was an article that was out the other day. I saw on the social media. Everybody's like, well, yeah, of course. Nobody buys their stuff. And I was looking around like, yeah, I don't have anything made from Remington. It's like, yeah, who buys Remington anymore? They sold out their AR-10 platform. They had going there for a while. They sold that out. And I don't think they don't produce anything. Their shotgun is, I guess, what you call middle tier. It's not nothing special. I don't even know what semi-auto shotgun Remington makes. But yeah, they filed for bankruptcy, which just means they're going to go into some sort of debt consolidation, right? They'll restructure their debt and, put their debt over here and close a factory and get rid of all their personnel costs and restructure somehow. And I don't know what they're going to build. I mean, nobody buys their stuff. It's just like, yeah, what Remington guns do I have? Oh, I don't know. I think, do I have one from my dad that's like 50 years, 30, 40 years old? I don't know. But yeah, most people, that seems that I even know, don't have a Remington product. Well, that's the only part of the Marine Corps rifle, or see now the what are we on, the A6? The M40A1, yeah, right, USMC vet, the Marine Corps sniper rifle does have Remington components. Make sure I get my models right. The Remington Model 70 is it's a McMillan stock Remington Model 70 action. Was it the action that was Model 70, and the other parts were, it was all custom. But I'm not sure if the new M40, I think the A6 is the model they're on now, has Remington components. I don't know, Irish. We could look into that. That's probably a pretty simple search on that. Look at the new Model 40s, and they probably say what the components are. But they've traded some custom components over the years as they've changed the platform, especially since they moved up from the M40A3. Ever since then, it's been a lot more high end I guess you'd call it but custom stuff that's been coming out in the market, and getting the best product in there. Even though the M48-1 and A2 were awesome rifles. UMC vet says 1100 is the best shotty in the world besides Benelli. Is the 1100 a semi-auto? I take it. Remington 1100. Lots of 710s out there. They still have good sales. They just have bad business practice, maybe. Shotgun's a limited market. I mean, most, especially semi-auto shotgun. Semi-autos are pricey, and I mean, I don't even own a semi-auto. So that's a pretty small market compared to when you look at the black rifle market. 700, Walter says, probably trying to get out from under lawsuits from 700s. So was there a big issue with Remington 700s? I take it. Was it a Yeah, Mossbergs are pretty sweet and long. They're easy to function. I guess that's the way I would say it. And I've got an old Winchester that was the first shotgun I got. The Remington 700 trigger issues. You're saying, Irish? Were there lawsuits from trigger issues, or just they were having to do like a recall or something? Well, I guess. All right, we can talk guns some other time. Everybody, look into that if you're interested in the Remington bankruptcy issues. I gotta go. You guys have a good Friday. Remember, we got an hour-long morning update in the morning. It'll take a little bit more time to go through everything. Y'all have a good day. Live free.